2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
All right, guys, you can't get away from us. Welcome to Teaching Crypto. We're going to keep going no matter how bad or sideways the market goes. This is AZcrypto, MrFOMO. We want to do this episode because we know a lot of you may still be in Luna. We got some interesting news today, MrFOMO, and it's important our viewers know what's happening because it's going to come up pretty quickly. We got some information about Luna 2.0. Why don't you fill in our viewers?
You're going to get, well, they're going to take a snapshot of the chain before, I guess it's the night of May 7th, that Sunday night, before everything went to hell in a handbasket. And based on that, they're going to distribute tokens, new tokens, what will be called, I guess, Terra.
Mm-hmm.
And that will take on the Luna symbol and the ticker, and then Luna Classic is what the old one will be called, and there will be a fork in the chain, much like Bitcoin, much like Ethereum. There's going to be a fork in the chain, and what was once Luna will be now Luna Classic, LUNC, which is fitting, right? Because we all like somebody stole our lunch. So we got you've got new Luna, which will be airdropped to people. But I don't, that doesn't give it any value. The value is in, you know, what they can do and the cash they can generate. And it's,
so you had read that 1 billion market cap, which is not bad. We don't know anything else about.
There's a 1 billion supply is what there's
Okay.
a billion. There's a billion.
Sorry, my bad. 1 million supply. Market cap TBD. The market cap we saw with ApeCoin when there's an event and everything happens live. So what I assume, knowing he's smart enough to be creative enough to say, all right, just like remember ApeCoin, it was supposed to hit everywhere. I believe it was at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, where everyone was on their computers and phones trying to buy at the same time, and the market cap literally went to 9 billion within minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So my prediction is that you're going to see a lot of money come in the day of. Even the people that hate Luna and say they'll never get involved, remember, a lot of those people are getting airdrops, the people that lost everything. And so they're going to be on their phones and on their computers that day. In fact, you know, we luckily, I think we're going to have some free time that day ourselves. Because
I think whatever happens, like you get the airdrop, it's fine, but then they have to have the initial coin offering. And then that's going to be the referendum on Do Kwon.
They'll determine the market cap that day.
And Terraform Labs. It's going to tell us who is really still interested in investing in those names. And so I think we'll see. You'll obviously see a sell-off when the market opens, but that's assuming that these exchanges are going to list it. And
we don't know 100%. I imagine they will, because this is a bear market.
And there's no obligation to carry this new token or to keep.
If I was them, I would carry this new token and slowly over time, over the next few months, by the end of the summer, just Voyager closed off. I want to make sure a certain type of Bitcoin. It was like an outdated Bitcoin. I have to go back and look, but they delisted it. And so my prediction, this is just my prediction, is the Crypto.com brought back Luna today, by the way, which is just completely ridiculous because I haven't checked to see if
and then they brought it back on so you could buy it back. That's what they did.
They bought it back after sending an email saying you are required to give us all our money that you made 48 hours ago. So they brought it back because all the other exchanges brought it back. So I think the exchanges are going to be involved because it's a big money maker Think about the money, because think about it. If you're Coinbase and you're not, and you say no, we don't want it, it's on Voyager, you're giving up hundreds of millions of dollars of money that day. That's going to pour into your ecosystem.
I mean, you're also basically telling your customers that we've given up on your opportunity to recoup those losses. You know,
so
what
I think
they will be motivated to
and we don't know
and that there is no obligation. There's really, I mean, really he's got a tap dance on this one. He and Terraform Labs and LFG, they've really got a tap dance. And I know they've been doing some dancing so far, but they've really got to tap dance their way through this to get
well,
this.
the $1 billion question is, what are the tokenomics going to be? Because you're not going to have a stable coin burn, which really helped generate price action. It's going to have to be creative. There could be some burn. The Luna Classic is just going to be a dead dog. Let's be honest.
Why would
so it's pretty much going to be good for tax write-offs. Right now, it's being used as a pump and dump 2 or 3 times a day, where randomly in a half hour you look and it's gone up 56%. And I don't think those are accidents, because it's at $1 billion and the money's coming in and out. But besides that, I don't know what Luna Classic. It's honestly, I think it's going to be taken off exchanges by October or September or even August. I don't see the utility, because you gotta think all the energy of Luna is going to go into the new token. With
whatever energy there is.
Yeah, 6 trillion supply with no burn, with no utility. I mean, that's worse than.
And what's the tokenomics of the new coin? That's what I really want to know.
And it hasn't come out yet.
He had mentioned before they had talked about a fork, sticking with Luna and applying a 3% burn. And you made a great point that sounded a lot like Safemoon.
That's what a lot of people on Twitter were saying.
Yeah, I never got into Safemoon, so I can't really tell you.
But a lot of people made money on Safe. The early people that got in made 50, 100. Some people made 1,000x because of and eventually the time ran out. There was a lot of copycats. And what happened with the copycats is, and yes, I was one of them, it does well very, very early when the market cap is really low, but over time, it gets drained fast. And when the lights go off, there's literally no one in the building. If you're holding,
I think that's a great point to kind of lead into that with these altcoins, even Ethereum, there's a time to leave. There's a time.
Of course, we've talked about this before.
Go out even if they're not crashing and burning. There's a time to take profits. It's not just hodl. I know what some of these YouTubers are telling you and what some of these influencers are saying. They're saying to you should hold, while they're dumping on your heads.
Well, if let's give an example though, but if you've been holding VChain this whole time and you brought it all the way down and you're at a major loss, at this point, it makes no sense to sell because it'll eventually come back up. But yeah, when you're ahead, we talked about this. That's the mistake that I think everyone in their first pull. Don't take enough profits, and the bear comes, and it looks like a friendly bear, and it ends up being not so friendly. I mean,
you just have to kind of monitor. You have to know what the setup is of your exchange or whatever you're using. For instance, Voyager is FIFO, first in, first out. And so you need to know, what you bought and what you're selling and what your profits and losses are.
Mm-hmm.
Just go by that average, but time to leave. If you look on Coinbase and they give you the average hold times, these things are being held for like 3-4 days. Some of them, I mean, the good ones, Cardano is one of the ones they talk about being the greatest hold. And
I did really
days or something like that.
You're right, 100%. I did really want to give our audience something to use. We talked about a strategy that they could use to make money in the short term, and I'm going to be very, very transparent. I did buy into VChain very early this morning, and it was based on a lot of TA. I was saying that BTC was going to have some type of upward movement between now and Thursday or Friday. And so right now, BTC is at 30,300. I bought. So here's a strategy, and it's 2 parts. The one thing is you can always, when BTC takes a gigantic retrace, if you have the capital, remember, we're not financial advisors, put a lot of money into BTC. Now, if BTC continues to go low, that's okay. You're in BTC. You're never stuck in BTC. That's the one thing that's going to hold value for sure for the next 10 years. But once BTC recovers, you can take your initial amount back out and you've built BTC, or you can take it all out. It's just, I mean, eventually you do want to hold on to your BTC, but it's a way to make money in the bear because you're using BTC dumps. It's almost like a safe leverage bet where, okay, BTC's back to 28. I know eventually it's going to get back to 30, even in the bear. So I'm going to put some money down and get back to 30. So it's your spot trading BTC. So that's one. I want to get your perspective on that. And I want to talk about what I did with VChain today as well.
I think that's a great way, and I think having a target is another thing. Looking for that percentage. I think that's a great point. But I also want to say, just be quick. Get in, get your profits, get out, snipe those.
Especially in the bear.
Right.
Yeah.
Right now, this is not the time to be, and like you said,
unless you're layering in for a bigger play.
Everybody that said, hey, we're in a dip, buy the dip. Hey, we're in a dip, buy the dip. You would have bought 1 million dips on the way down in this, since January or since December or November even. And, you'd still be purchasing. And it's kind of, be patient. When you make your money, go back in, do some more research, take a look. And I love that VChain pick because they just have great, they built it the right way. They've gone in and they've worked with governments. They've worked with finicky governments like China, and they're comfortable with China, even though they're not based in China. China doesn't really have control over them. They're based in Europe now. So I love that pick. And
here was my rationale. VChain had gone down.
Pursuing Terra Luna's developers right now. And I think that's another good reason why.
VChain had gone down to 3 cents. Earlier in the week, it was 4.3 cents. You do the math, it gets back to 4. It's a nice profit now. I'm not going to stay along for that. Now, if I was layering into VChain long term, I would not be selling. But this is a different strategy. We talked about slowly layering in for the next bull. This is a strategy for you to make a little bit of money now. You could be doing both at the same time. And what you really want to monitor is BTC. So what I was doing is I was monitoring BTC. I saw it at 29. I saw a lot of TA that was pushing for a 32 to 33 BTC by the end of this week. Now, next week is futures week. It's very likely we come down. So it was a decent chance that we were going to have some upward movement because all the Luna was dumped. All their BTC was dumped. That's why we got to 25. So there was a decent chance now that the hysteria's kind of died down. So I'm using my BTC knowledge. I picked VChain because it's a safe recovery token. You want to pick something that's kind of reliable. It's in mainstream. Also, another one you could have picked would have been Chili's. There's a lot of tokens you could have picked. You really can't pick the tokens you're already in because then it kind of messes up the average. You know what I mean? Like if you sell, you're still at a loss. But there's a lot of tokens you could have gone at Engine. A lot of tokens can work. And for some of these small caps, it doesn't take much to make your 5%. Now, if you're on an exchange, remember, there is, you're not actually 5%, you're really making 3% because of the conversion when you sell. So you just have to be mindful. You're not going to become a millionaire with this strategy. But what we discussed off air is you might make $100 or $200 extra a week, and you can reinvest that into USDC. If you are in Voyager and you want to accumulate more VGX, you can do that. You can reinvest it in Bitcoin. So even if you just plug it into USDC, if you are making a couple hundred a month during the bear and throwing it into USDC, you're going to have more money to play with in the bull, and you can just use that 9% that's available for USDC. Who knows how long that's going to go? So again, this is just a strategy. We talk about quick clicks on Thursday. This is a strategy you can use. I think it only works if you've identified a local bottom with BTC. You never want to buy an alt right now during the bear if you're trying to flip it when BTC is doing well. So there'll be people that buy an alt on Wednesday or Thursday. It'll probably be the wrong decision, right? They'll see BTC get to 34, 34, 33, 34 and say, oh, maybe it's a good time to buy an alt. And it won't be. It won't be unless you're layering in for the long run. For now,
and even then, why would you be doing that right on the precipice of futures week? You know, be smart about it. And if you're layering in, like for instance, I'm not completely sold on the idea of giving up on my Algorand because I still have a pretty low average.
I'm a holder.
I can lower that average price even more. And so I think that on that project, I'm going to stick around. You know, and then if it gets a really nice pump, then I can take some profits on that, and then I'll have an even better lower average. Don't give up on your old strategies with projects that you really believe in.
Yeah, this is just for making a little bit extra money.
Yeah, but if you look around and let's say you see SushiSwap, which is
that was another one.
You think the money's going to have to pour into the dexes in order for them to, you know, be able to buy these tokens. So, you know, SushiSwap's also out there. So just kind of do your research, you know, use your knowledge of the market. Make sure you watch Teaching Crypto whenever there's a show on, and then just
so
pick on the ones you're not confident in and layer into the ones that.
So if you had bought SushiSwap earlier today before the BTC bump, it was 122. It's already at 134. Tomorrow you're out, and you made a little bit of a nice profit. Obviously, the more you put in, the more you risk, the higher the reward for the flips. But you never want to invest more than you can get a hold of, and you want to be careful. Had BTC gone the other way, I would have been okay having my money in VChain at 3 cents, because 3 cents with a small market cap.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I could have. I didn't put a gigantic bag in. I could have DCA.
Right. But I don't know that I would have been crazy about holding SushiSwap on something like that, or, you know, if I would have.
But at a dollar, at a little over $1 for SushiSwap, under $1 billion market cap. And we want to talk about this very briefly. How low can some of these projects really get to? We've had projects that used to be 10 billion, 11 billion down to 1. Some of them, we talked about StormX now being around 90 million. I mean, I don't know how much lower. Yes, they can go lower, but I feel like we're definitely getting close to a bottom for some of these. We might not be there just yet, but I don't see something, for example, like StormX going down to a 10 million market cap. If it does, it would be an amazing buy. Like you talked about Engine. Is Engine really going to 5 cents? I don't think so.
No, I think
so.
I think there are bottoms, especially with projects that aren't attached to algorithmic stable coins.
Well, and some of these projects have locked in. They've taken some of the tokens off the market.
For instance, StormX, you can, if you download the app, you can look and see, you can keep track of how many StormX are locked into their app. It's important to have that kind of transparency. So that's the kind of stuff you want to look for too.
Yeah. So listen, I know the last show was a little pessimistic. I'm optimistic, and it could be I'm finally back in the green for a token. It's been a long time. It's not been a long time, but Luna was for I could always look at my Luna and be like, at least I have that. So
for me, my Luna, or what will become LUNC, is going to be a lesson in humility.
But it will be a nice tax.
It will be that lesson that says, you know, you need to listen to all views. You need to listen to everybody that's talking out there. Don't dismiss anybody because they disagree with you. Don't have that.
Yeah, there were some people. Well, there were some people, including our Dom we've had on the show for BGX, that was saying that it was a dangerous. He was.
So I think that's an important lesson, is in maybe hubris or arrogance, you know, for me as an investor, as someone who puts my money into the market, you know, you constantly have to keep up with those things. And when you see a red flag, like we saw when they took that loan, we should have been gone.
Well, let's go back to VChain over the spring.
That for me that's where that'll sit to be that lesson for us.
Let's go back to VChain over the spring. It had gone from 2 cents to 27, and there was a show that was talking about how the tokenomics weren't great long term. And what happened? It never fully recovered at all after the first spring. Remember when BTC, you
Yeah.
guys remember we had that mini bear during the bull run. The highest it got back was 18 cents. It never fully recovered. So that was one where I had gotten in at 3 and got in at 27. Looking back, that was a 9x. That was an amazing exit point. Didn't take it. And the long story is, when I finally sold, I was nowhere near where I wanted to be. So, and we had influencers.
That's the great thing about this channel, is that we're going to share the mistakes with
We're being honest. Yeah.
And you're going to learn more from the mistakes than you do from the successes. You know what I mean? From this mistake, it's caused so much analysis and so much growth in this space that I can't really be mad at the end of the day. I just got to kind of shake my head, take my lumps, and keep moving forward.
But the reality is, we were watching these influencers, and one person was doing a VChain video every day, and at one point he called for a $7 to $10 VChain. And we were looking at the amount of VChain we had, and we were pretty much dancing in the hallways. Little did we know, at 27, the lights were going to go off and never come back on. It was just
the dance was over at that point. And
I mean, I think
that's another lesson. And there's a time to leave. If you have an extreme FOMO situation like that, and you get a chance, you get an opportunity for a 9x and an exit point like that, take it. I mean, truthfully, if I get a 3x in the future, I'm taking it. I could care less.
I don't think there'll be any of those in the bear, unfortunately.
Right? No.
Well, I wouldn't say that. You know what? I'm going to say that the day, really quickly before we go off the air, the 27th might be very interesting, because I think there are a lot of frustrated buyers. You saw over the weekend how Luna was manipulated. At one point, it went up 10,000%. I mean, it was gone down to minus mini market cap. But I think there's a lot of frustrated investors. They're going to try to make a lot of money, and it could be very dangerous. They're going to try to capitalize on this Luna. So there's going to be a lot of money coming in, just like we saw with ApeCoin. And we just don't. It could be a gigantic sell-off at the beginning, and then people come back in later in the day. But my prediction is, it's not going to be a dull day. You're going to see a lot of money. So if you do have the airdrops, you want to make sure you have your phone next to you on the 27th. I'm being serious, because you might want to sell. If you might want to sell 30 minutes into this new coin, if you get a 3x.
I absolutely agree with that. I think you absolutely want to sell into there. And I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to see everybody sell. You're going to see it hit sort of a floor. You're going to get a dead cat bounce, and then it's going to fall again. I think there's going to be volatility, but I don't think there's going to be much upside to that volatility. I think
for one day, but
like I said, I think you're going to get that referendum on Do Kwon and Terraform Labs and the Luna Foundation going.
Long term, over the summer, it's going to be bad, but for that day, you might see some extreme swings. And the airdrops, you already have them. You could take a profit, take some of your profit, come back in later in the day when you see a gigantic retrace, and you could do very well. But just be careful, because if things go badly, you're stuck in a brand new project that might really struggle the rest of the bear. So,
and I may be just butthurt from the whole Luna thing, but I think that you're going to see. I really think people are they're going to let their feelings be known by selling off this token too. And I think if you put your remaining, it's Terraform Labs, you put your remaining capital into this project and people sell it like wildfire, you're going to be in more trouble.
Well, we'll see. I think in the next coming days, and hopefully the next time we air, we'll have more information about the tokenomics. If there's some type of creative burn mechanism, you might get some people excited who missed out on the first Luna. You remember about crypto. Yes, some people have their feelings hurt, but if people think they can make money in 24 hours, they're going to come in. They're going to come. We know those people. They're coming in. If someone thinks they can do a 3x and they've got 10K to throw in, they're coming in and they're putting that money in. So it'll be very interesting. I think
so. Mark your calendar, May the 27th.
Yeah, 27th. make sure, and we'll get you guys prepared for that. There right now there are not a lot of big events. We had ApeCoin a few
And
months
this is
ago.
not for sure anyway. So we, just be ready.
Yeah, just be ready. All right, guys, we will see you later in the week. Watch the market as always. For Mr. FOMO, this is AZcrypto. Have a great week, everybody.
See ya.